Get mad at me.
Now you've overcorrected.
I wasn't here Friday. I'm back. It's been a great weekend together.
Yes.
True.
Playoff mode is here.
I know.
Let's go.
Okay.
Wilds actually talked to us away from the set.
Wow.
Which was
Yeah.
crazy.
Except for my
Probably a little-
grandparents who
maybe
we
because
snubbed,
your
and they
wife
are
was
not
there.
happy about it. Sorry, grandma.
I was a big hit.
Yeah.
I told you I'm
Everyone
beloved.
But the most important people there. Good
It's
job.
first things first. Today.
No Wilds. They shouldn't be happy.
Oh, here we go. I mean,
They should be ecstatic, euphoric, elated, over the moon. However, well done, right, bro? I won't do it again. I just felt like I needed it for that moment. Listen, here's the reality. However thin, and it is very thin, admittedly, the Lakers' path to competing for a championship is, it had to start here. Well, I mean, once we knew they were locked into the play-in line, in my opinion, the two things that needed to happen were get out of the 9-10 disaster zone area, check, and I know this is controversial to believe, but I adamantly believe it, get Denver as early as possible. And that is not because Denver is a better matchup than other teams would be. It's not because the Lakers are better than Denver. But if it is because we are to assume in order to make the NBA Finals, they're going to have to go through the Denver Nuggets. The only chance they have is now.
it's a reasonable take.
Rested, healthy, LeBron, if we can show you, rolling. LeBron's the last he's been playing out of his mind. The only game they lost was when AD couldn't play because of I think it was a concussion. I don't know if they called it that, but concussion symptoms, and the Warriors had the greatest shooting night in NBA history. And so it really to me, Brew, is about, if you're a Lakers fan, are you happy, is about what your goal is. Is your goal the longest possible time in the playoffs? Or is your goal the best chance of winning the championship? Because right now, I don't think those two things are aligned. If your goal is the longest possible time in the playoffs, then you want to be on the other side of the bracket as Denver. And just like last year, maybe see them in the conference finals when you're exhausted and old and get swept. If your goal is, you know what if we could win it? With 4 days between the play-in and game one, or 5 days, and then multiple days between every early game, which is only the case in round one, I think is perfect. I think this is exactly what the Lakers fans should have hoped for, and they got it. If they win tomorrow night.
I'm going to address that. I know we got the next question. We're going to talk about the Denver-Lakers matchup. So I'll address what you said then. As far as answering the question, it's all about your perspective. I mean, because when you look at the fact that just a few days ago, they were the 10th seed, and looking at playing Golden State and then maybe Phoenix
on the road
just to get to the playoffs, on the road both times, then this makes you feel good because they've owned New Orleans, right? I think they're 3-1. Are they 3-1 against them this year? Obviously, they played well against them yesterday. And you mentioned LeBron, how well he's playing. One thing I like, too, at times he was guarding Zion. So even just taking on, like, a big game, we need this win, give me Zion. And he did a good job on him. And so, you're excited if you're the Lakers, considering all the other options to be in this scenario. A lot of people, Nick, are talking about they should lose and try to get to the 8th seed. Obviously, they've owned Oklahoma City, beating them 3 straight times, 3 out of 4 this year. The problem, I am totally against that because you can't play around like that. Because then you get probably Golden State or Sacramento
who's
8-1 against you. In a one and done. You definitely don't want that. So I think this is a good case scenario. I don't agree. And I think we're going to get to that. I don't agree, though, with your take about them playing Denver now.
But so just to stay on the if they lose, everyone at this table agrees that they should, of course, do everything they can to win tomorrow night, even though it means playing Denver.
Silly
whether you think,
otherwise.
So we all agree on that. But this can also be true. Because of how the bracket fell, a loss tomorrow night won't feel devastating to most. It might to me, because I think you want to get Denver early, but to the rest of, people rooting for the Lakers or rooting for LeBron or whomever, it will be like, okay, the season will come down to a game which is terrifying, but then after that, then you would be on the opposite side of Denver, and exactly, and you get OKC, but then it opens up the door to your season being over in 72 hours.
Quickly, Brew, just on the Pelicans. Zion, we're in year 5. Never been to the playoffs. He played 70 games this year. Got cooked up by LeBron last game, but I think there's a little bit of like, all right, Ingram's missed 12 games. He was held to. Ingram had 13. Zion had 12. Do you think this is sort of a moment for Zion against the Lakers?
No.
No.
I mean, look, honestly, we were happy, and I think I speak for a lot of people. We're happy he played a full season.
Oh, my God.
Yeah.
That's where the bar is on the number 1 pick in the
Yes.
Before Caitlin Clark, it was Zion. It's like
but that's
Caitlin
over.
Clark.
That's over. I'm serious.
So we're happy that he played. He's always healthy.
Baby steps.
And he played.
Baby steps. It's been 5 years.
Well, yeah,
but he hasn't been healthy.
Well, now he is.
And look, he played well. And he handles the ball, get into the hole at will.
Oh my God.
I mean, he played well, but no. 70 games. Next year, we'll talk about winning a series.
Yeah. Get in the playoffs. He can't play a playoff game. He just lost. They could have gone to the 6. Just lost.
Make the playoffs. Sure.
Make the playoffs. Beat LeBron.
I mean, but if they're not going to beat the Lakers.
You don't?
And
think?
I don't think
no,
they'll.
You
think they're going to beat the Lakers?
I think they're going to win tomorrow. I think they're going to win.
See,
How? I mean, they haven't. I think it's a tough matchup for them.
I just think
and
that
they're
game
working
was
in Ingram.
That's the thing. I think that's what they did.
Yesterday they could have been the 6 if they win, which would be super. Them being New Orleans, super useful for them. And that was not. I understand it was Masters Sunday. There's a lot going on. Maybe people were there. A lot 30 teams playing yesterday. That game was an annihilation from the opening tip.
Yeah.
But don't you think it's an Ingram thing?
No, I think that if you're New Orleans or Minnesota, this whole incorporating your second best player right before the postseason could be a problem. But I do want to say real quick before we move on, Brew, I will never again underestimate the power of the Bud list. I put Wildes on the Bud list demanding he let the Tiger out more often. The first segment of Monday's show.
Well, you guys are just like, once they win. There is a game.
There you go.
Once game 4, go back to L.A.
I mean, really.
You know what I want, bro? 15 points.
Okay, well, listen.
He'll give you 15
20 points
tomorrow.
Here, Tatum.
He's going to lose to LeBron James, and you're going to kill him for that?
Hey, LeBron James is as old as me. Yeah, I'm going to. Paul George had his moment against LeBron. Young Tatum, had his moment against LeBron.
In losses.
Well, have a moment and win.
and some people have George and the GOAT conversation.
Yeah, exactly.
A lot of young players in the league. I mean, come on.
All right. If the Lake Show do get by the frisky Pels, which is no guarantee, they'll head to Denver in a scenario that Nick once proclaimed was their best case scenario. Now, they've lost 8 games in a row against Denver and 6 in a row since Darvin Ham inferred he had seen something in the fourth quarter of Game 1 of the Western Conference Finals and told the world, we'll be okay. Trust me. 6 losses since then. Brew, what chances do the Lakers have to take out Denver?
I mean, no chance other than never say never.
Oh,
anything is possible.
See, I like this.
No, there's no. I mean, look, the greatness of LeBron and AD. I'm doing my All NBA teams. They're both on the top 3. Second and third team All NBA. I'll keep it a secret which one's second, which one's third. Okay. But there are great players, obviously, but there's really not much other than if you just say, LeBron, this is maybe last hurrah, last best chance to win a championship or get there. He's going to take it over. But he played well last year, and they got swept. Yeah, and he had a LeBron game, and they couldn't. It still wasn't
Game
enough.
4.
Yeah,
Game 4.
And it wasn't enough. And so there's really no realistic, logical basketball reason to pick them. Here's why I disagree with your theory, Nick.
Yeah.
Because I get what you're saying, but I think the Nuggets have one weakness. And it's not their depth to me or lack of depth. It's the possibility
of Jamal
Murray getting hurt.
Okay, that's true.
No, because they cannot win the championship. They cannot win the West without Jamal Murray.
That's correct.
I mean, as great as Jokic is, Jamal Murray is critical. He always plays better in the playoffs, significantly better. And they must have it. And my thing is this, Nick, he's back, and he's been hot. 24 points a game and like 25 minutes a game since he came back from injury. Last 5 or 6 games, I think it's 5 games. He's shooting it like 47% from 3, well over 50 overall. And obviously we don't want to see anybody get hurt. But I think the chances,
it's on the table,
because he's not been able to make it through all the postseasons. And so if he were to get hurt, it's probably later in the playoffs versus right away. And that's why I don't agree with that.
No, so that, by the way, that is almost assuredly correct. I am operating from the unrealistic place, but the place that I think we almost always do these predictions of. Everyone's as healthy as they are right now.
Okay.
You know, and so
he's going to stay healthy.
He stays healthy. So you said there's no basketball reasons.
Well, he said it.
So no, and then
I was like, yeah, definitely.
He was an amen from the choir. So I would like to just posit a few questions.
Sure.
To Mr. Denver Nugget. I mean, 8
in a row.
No, but you've been Mr. Denver Nugget all year.
Yeah.
On your lightly followed Twitter account, you have written dozens of times, no one's beating Denver in a 7-game series. Wilds. So I know you've been staying up late watching these games because you send that tweet the moment the game ends, and then I think you pass out immediately
Sometimes
after.
It's a bit of a burden.
Yeah, exactly. He just wants to send the tweet. If you were to rank Denver by how they've been playing by month, where do you think this last month of basketball is?
Well,
they had the 1 seed. They won 4 of their last 5.
They had the 1 seed on the line against a Spurs team that was not even playing 2 of its 5 best players. They don't have a lot of great players.
Well,
they're up 17 in the 4th quarter, and they lost that game. In a game with real implications where the Nuggets are playing everyone, slight concern.
No,
go ahead.
Here's counterpoint.
Yeah.
I liked it.
Why?
You know what? I didn't like it. Oh, I loved it.
Oh, now we're why? Tell us.
It reminds. It's a
wake-up call.
A little wake-up call.
Okay, maybe.
Mike Malone was like, guess what? We have to play defense and we have to rebound. I think they gave up 8 offensive rebounds in the 4th quarter. Guess what? Any team can beat you. A team with a star can come down and take over. And they took the foot off their gas, it's the Spurs.
No, and
they lost, and I think it was kind of good.
And also, Nick, depending on how far you want to go back, last month, last 2 months, they have the best record in the league since the All-Star break. Them and Boston, 21-6. And the games Murray's played, they're 16-3. That's a higher win percentage than even Boston, which has been running through the league. So they've been actually playing great basketball.
I agree with that. And the losses, you can be like, one was in overtime to Phoenix.
But this was a bad one.
But this was a bad one because what was on the line, which was the 1 seed, which I think mattered to them. But I'm going to give you one other basketball reason, and this is why I think it is critical that if the Lakers have any chance of beating Denver, that it has to happen now. Brew, what did you call this series last year?
A close sweep.
A close sweep.
And it was.
So I don't know if
others call it a gentleman's sweep, even though
gentleman's sweep is fine.
No, I know. They say because it was so close.
Okay, so here's.
I'm just like, they don't want to give me my props.
And you, I think correctly, if I'm remembering right, identified when we were talking about the games last year that it appeared at the end of these games, LeBron was out of gas. And the numbers support that.
Yep.
If we can show you LeBron last year, he's rolling all systems go, quarters 1 through 3, and was spent quarters in 4th quarter.
Okay.
What's the other story of LeBron last season? His worst 3-point shooting year in the regular season in 15 years, and in the playoffs, 2nd worst of his career. If you remember, Wilds was saying, give him the Ben Simmons treatment.
Yeah,
right.
He was like 1 for 20.
Right. I'm not saying he's going to keep it up necessarily, but what's the story of LeBron this year? His best 3-point shooting year. Right. And I'm going to add one other point. Jamal Murray is a great postseason performer. We all know that. What he did in those conference finals, and we can show it to you, is aberrant even by his standards. Every other series of his career, he's awesome. 24, 5, and 6 on those splits. Last year, he had the best series of his career. So the point I'm making is this. LeBron, they were close, good games until the Lakers' best player wore down in the 4th quarter. I don't think he's as likely to wear down when it's not every other day like it is in the conference finals, and it's not after 2 rounds of playoffs, and he's not nursing a
Bad foot,
whatever it was. He couldn't hit a three, and Jamal Murray played the series of his life. Now, the counterpoint obviously is, yeah, and so maybe if that's right, it'll be 4-1 this time or 4-2 this time. I get that. But I think there are a lot of factors that if this ends up being the matchup, you could see it go very similarly as last year. But if LeBron is just a touch fresher and Jamal Murray is just a touch less incandescent, those games turn.
Murray, though, has had a lot of great series. His numbers are down both regular season and playoffs because early in his career, the numbers weren't as prolific. I'll give you this, though, as a support for what you said about LeBron. Because he's been cold this month from three. I think he's like 31%, something like that lately.
Well, he's 41% for the season.
Right, but what you see is, and I think this is why he's shooting such a high percentage, and I think it's wise of LeBron, he is attacking the rim relentlessly. He's shooting like 3 3-pointers this month a game. That's low, and it was 4.5 the last month in March. So he's dialing down the 3-pointers and attacking the rim more, which is what I think he should do. And Denver doesn't shoot a lot of threes. They're actually last in the league in 3-point attempts. The Lakers are third to last. So the fact that if LeBron's not draining a ton of threes, that's okay because Denver's not going to be draining a ton of threes either, and he should keep attacking the rim.
Hey, Josh, you know what I'd like to do? Take Nick's graphic, and let's look at the Denver-LA splits. And I wonder if it's less just LeBron wearing down and more of the altitude. Ooh,
it was
once you're in that thin mountain air.
But the other thing,
Denver, he had to play so well and hard to just keep them near the Nuggets. And the Nuggets are great for us.
And the one thing, and I'm not the injuries, it's part of sports, I get it. But the one place where LeBron's foot injury last playoffs really showed up is it seemed like he only had 3 or 4 hard drives to the basket in him a game until that game 4 against Denver when he just emptied the clip because it's probably the last game of the year. The last month, man, he is relentlessly. It feels like it's the healthiest he has been going into a postseason since the championship year. That's all I'm saying.
Even though I think the Pelicans are going to win, you convince me the Lakers can get a game.
Okay, got it.
I don't think it'll be a sweep this year.
Yeah, there we go.
Might even get 2.
Wow. If you can get 2, you can get 3. And if you can get 3, it comes down to a game 7. Anything can happen. You're getting there, bro.
Here are the odds to win the West. Denver at 1. Then it's the Thunder and the Clippers tied at 2. Mavs, Suns, Wolves. Lake Show, Pelicans, Warriors, and then Sacktown way far down there. Who's the most dangerous threat to the champs, bro?
Look, it's all about the matchups. I mean, obviously, Denver is a team you feel like can work through any of these matchup challenges. But my team, we know I picked the Clippers to get to the conference finals, and we're going to talk about them a little later. But if they're healthy, I like the Clippers, if they're healthy, all right?
Yeah,
but we'll talk about that. All right. But I'm going to say, and I think the Lakers, look, if the Lakers somehow were to beat Denver, they immediately become, I don't think, just the Western Conference favorite. I think the league favorite because I think they would beat Boston.
Wow.
Yeah. Boston? I'm not.
Wow.
Look, I picked Boston.
That's
in the
a
East.
great take.
If they get,
Fantasy
well, now I don't think they're beating Denver, but if they do, you don't think people are going to be saying they're going to win it? Well, if they beat
I'll
Denver,
tell you this much, I will be.
Yeah, if they beat Denver, and I think they will handle ball. I really do. Okay. I like Boston in the East.
And I think, what are they, 1-1 against Boston this year?
Yeah, I think. But LeBron, AD, I think. But the best, I'm going to go with Minnesota because I think and they're going to have their hands full with Phoenix. Yeah. So I'm just saying, though, a one-on-one matchup in a series, I think Minnesota with their size and, not just Karl Anthony Towns and Gobert. Naz Reid has played great when Gobert was out. You got that one incredible individual superstar that can just take over a series in Anthony Edwards. And then you've got some vets like well coached, and they're a great defensive team. So in a one-on-one series, I would say Minnesota is my toughest.
Do you have an answer?
I'm a little bit worried about the Suns.
Oh,
they beat them 2 out of 3.
There is some recency part of that and the superstar factor.
Yeah, here's the graphic of teams that have done well against Denver. The Frisky Magic, I was on them,
Rockets somehow.
2-0. Thunder play well. The Rockets, Şengün, of course, going up against,
There's a common denominator in 4 of the 5. Can you pick it out?
Tall people?
What is it?
Young.
Oh,
young and athletic.
Young and fast.
I mean, the Denver's not like incredibly athletic.
So this graphic and the fact that you're using this graphic to support Phoenix does mean, listen, good people of Oklahoma City, I apologize that this show unintentionally keeps really disrespecting your team. Like, by the way, because they're not my answer. They're not my answer either. We had a whole MVP conversation last week, and because Brew and I agree on this, that it was a Luka Jokic conversation, didn't even include SGA. The Oklahoma City is 3-1 against Denver and is the only team that would have home court advantage against them in the conference, and none of us are going to say them because Brew went Minnesota. No, I get it. Brew went Minnesota. You went Phoenix, and I'm going with the right answer, which is Dallas. Dallas is 15-2 in its last 17. If we throw out the last 2 games of the year, they sat everybody. Like the games that mattered, they were that. And if there is any player in the league that for a series can match Nikola Jokic, it's Luka. And we can show their career playoff numbers, like, you know, it's kind of horse of a different color. I don't think that's what the phrase is at all. But the point is, they both have historic levels of impact in the postseason. They are both already, in my opinion, great postseason players. I know Luka doesn't have the hardware to show that yet, but only Jordan has ever averaged more points per game in a postseason. And so, if Luka could play Jokic to a draw, you know Kyrie could play Murray to a draw, and now all of a sudden, you know, it's like we've got Derek Lively and a podcaster. You've got a lot of things going on. Like, listen, man, put yourself out there.
Hey, they got to face the Clippers in the first round.
That's the problem. That's what we're going to talk about next.
I do like Dallas.
Brew wanted to say Dallas, but he has to have them losing in round 1. Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get more from the show and to check out clips from other shows on FS1.